I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from last week.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been moved, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to pay the claims in the amount of $285,257.65.
I'll second. Motion been moved, second, all in favor?
Aye.
One more thing before we get into the rest of the meeting. Next week is Columbus Day. So we need a motion to reschedule the meeting to Tuesday, October 10th.
I'll make a motion that we reschedule our October 9th meeting to Tuesday, October 10th due to Columbus Day.
I'll second that.
Motion been moved, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Do you got anything else, David?
No.
Gary, you got anything right off the bat?
No,
Departments? Good.
after you've had your staff reports, I need an executive session to cover some legal things.
AMR?
AMR?
AMR, you ready? Yeah. Oh, okay. Randy?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Higwald, Linn County Rural Fire Emergency Management. I sent out the weekly run totals. We had 10 incidents last week. Brings our yearly total up to 340. I also have an application for Station 960, which is the Prescott Station. Like to hire Adam Smith as a probationary firefighter. He's currently a county employee, so we can skip the drug and pre-employment physical. That will give us 5 out of 15 roster spots on that station. That's the Prescott Station.
I'll make a motion that we hire Adam Smith at the 960 station, and he can forfeit the benefit or the drug test and the pre-employment because he's already an employee of the county.
I'll second it.
Motion moved, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Other than that, the firefighters will be out rest of this month, different community events, parades, Halloween, doing fire safety events and recruiting. So encourage everybody to stop by when we have a booth or anything set up. And that's all I have unless you guys have something.
I don't.
All right.
Thank you, Randy.
Galen?
Good morning, Galen Anderson with American Medical Response. Numbers wise, we finished out the month with 70 transports. The last week really got busy. We did 23 transports in the last week of the month. And other than that, we're just working through some of our own internal radio issues and processes to make sure we're ready for a smooth transition in the dispatching of the ambulance process changes. They'll go into effect October 16th. So that's what we're up to. Anything for me?
I don't have anything.
All right. Have a good week.
Thank you, Galen.
Jeff?
Commissioners, Kevin Friend, Linn County Sheriff. Total inmates in for today are 62. We had 9 releases this past week. We have 38 farmed in. Had 93 911 calls last week, 3,986 jail contacts last week. Total calls for service countywide were 535. We served 20 civil service papers, did 2 VIN inspections, opened 14 new cases, closed 5, had 5 vehicle crashes, 67 SRO activities, 184 bailiff contacts at the front door, and 9 livestock out complaints. And our current daily income in the jail is $2,934, just like it was last week. So that's all we have. Do you have anything for me?
I don't.
I got a question. I got an email from you last Monday. You mind talking about that?
Oh, I don't mind at all. So apparently, last Monday, next door, they pushed the emergency alert button. And my question was, when an emergency alert button's pressed, it was for the commission, for this room. Do you guys want, you guys should be determining your emergency is my thought on that. People can get upset and be loud, and it doesn't necessarily constitute an emergency. And the emergency button would be, it doesn't call our office, it doesn't all call on the radio. So it's going to tell everybody in the radio world that there's an emergency at the commissioners meeting, and then our people would respond to that accordingly. And I don't know how you guys want that response.
I've said my 2 cents on where I want to move this meeting to.
Pardon me?
I think we should still consider moving our meeting over there to that extra courtroom, talk to district courts. I think we interfere with people that are trying to do their daily job in here. Public can go through security, and it's,
Well, in my world, I mean, being an elected official, sometimes you have people come in and they're passionate,
Right.
and passion doesn't necessarily constitute an emergency. I have people who come into my office and get upset with things and they're passionate about it, and I want to hear them. I listen to them. They might be screaming, but that's part of our gig. David's an elected official. Same thing could happen over at the clerk's office. They might be passionate about something. They might be loud, but loud doesn't necessarily mean violence. So,
Right.
you know,
Been control of the button being pushed.
well, you guys have one, and that's why I'm asking.
this white thing is?
Mhm.
I never pushed it.
I didn't know that. Did you, Jason? Who pushed it? I mean, what initiated?
One in the other.
Who initiated the push?
There's one at about most of the desks, like in the courthouse, there's emergency
I didn't know what
buttons.
it was. Did you?
There's
I
buttons
didn't.
next door, there's buttons here.
Nobody went over that with me.
Garrett's the one who's saying that he called the sheriff.
I just asked them to ask to see if you'd step back in. I didn't know if you were still around.
Yeah, and I was in a meeting when that call came to me, and I don't mind coming back over, but I mean, if there's truly an emergency, it's not going to be me in here single-handedly casting the net over people and dragging them to jail.
Emergency. I just thought it'd be more orderly if you step back in.
Yeah, I just want to know how you guys want that response, because to me, you know, I think it's important that if it's this room determines, hey, there's an emergency. If somebody's, you know, punching, throwing, doing whatever, hey, there's probably an emergency. But if it's loud, passionate people, I don't see that's an emergency
Right.
personally.
So you initiated it, Gary? Is that what happened? I mean,
I just went in there and asked about to see if the sheriff was still around, if he'd come back in, because I thought that Danny was trying to get people to calm down and they weren't doing it. So I asked if they would see if the sheriff would step back in. I didn't tell them to call
He
him.
stated when he came back in, the sheriff has been called.
So you didn't push the button, somebody else
I didn't even know there was a button.
did. So who pushed the button?
You'd have to ask staff in Public Works. I don't know how all that went down, but
I just asked to have the sheriff come back over because I thought that he might be able to help keep things calm.
That's 4 women.
So is it the commissioners have to push the button or anybody can push the button?
it's up to them, however they want that done. Those folks don't work for me. You know, we just respond to the situations. I just
I'm
want,
good with us pushing the button.
I just want you guys to have a protocol that we understand and we know, because it's not just Linn County Sheriff that gets that call. It'd be Mound City PD, it could be troopers, it could be anybody who was working in the area with our radio frequency.
so anybody could show up, that's what you're saying. I mean,
Right.
basically anybody's in there.
Yeah. Everybody's going to show up because it's like a emergency, like the elected officials are under attack or something, if you will.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about considering moving over there to the extra courtroom on Mondays?
I don't want to move over there because I tell you what, it was built for the courtrooms. And I mean, it's going to create a lot of headache for the people over there. And I don't think that's the place we need to be. That's my feeling. I think we got a meeting room right here and we got doors. We can shut doors.
I'm indifferent on it.
I also feel like that the meeting's open to the public, and if they come in and be passionate, so be it. I mean, I think as an elected, I think we take on some of that and listen.
I've been here almost 3 years. I've seen some pretty passionate meetings before with different people. I mean,
We've been involved in them, haven't we?
and I didn't feel threatened there Monday myself. I mean, I've been in a lot worse situations than that. So I think we ought to be the one making the call. Myself.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
We got now, Sean? Is it Sean or Jessica? Sean? What do you got, David? Were you gonna say something?
I was saying Gary was wanting to
You wanna do that before?
at some point.
I thought you all finished your staff reports.
Oh, come on up.
Sean West, Public Works. I have, an original MOA from, Bates County on our state line work to return. I met with them this past week and delivered the other MOA that you signed. I've sent them an electronic copy at their request. They advised me that they did want one addendum or change to it, is only that once they do the inspections and pay for those inspections, that they will provide us a copy. They wanted that in the agreement, that a copy would be provided to us because of the joint responsibilities, that we would know what the load bearing and the other safety factors of that is, and maintain a copy here with our records, which is pretty prudent. So I expect to see that possibly next week and
Is
have that
I
returned.
can't remember, is that part of the road there? Do they maintain that or do we?
Those are the bridges along that state
All the
line.
bridges, you're talking about all the bridges?
Two of those bridges on the state line, they have inspected through their state. They also maintain the records and do the sign maintenance, the other general maintenance on those bridges. Next thing I had for you was over the course of the last possibly couple of months, our road department has identified several large tubes that have been impaired. Either water's washed around them and infringed on the underlaying of the roadways, or the tubes themselves have been rotted out. I do attribute most of this to them coming out of the equipment, looking at road damage, and checking these tubes more frequently. But because of that, I'm looking at another order for tubes in order to replace the overage that we used to clean up the tubes that we've replaced so far, and the ones that we will deal with here in the future. So we're looking at an order, probably quite possibly another 40, 45 tubes. A lot of these are 30, 36, and 48-inch tubes. As you remember, we replaced one on 1077 that was going through and washing underneath the roadway. We had a similar condition on Bakken, and we had one on Ungenhauer, or just off of Ungenhauer, on a county roadway where it was as well another large tube taking on gravel and impacted the structure of the tube as well. So unlike what we had planned in the past, I'm asking to go out to bid on these tubes because we're going to need them to replace what we've used up for these repairs that were uninspected.
Have we ever looked into, like, I know when we put the tubes in, we put gravel around them instead of like dirt. Would dirt not hold moisture around and make them rot out quicker? like the gravel, with the gravel in there, they're given an opportunity to wash through the gravel more than it would the dirt.
I wouldn't be able to speak to that because I've never installed one. It's kind of out of my area, but, I can check and inquire on it.
Because I know when we put them in, we fill dirt, or we fill gravel around them all the time.
I mean, you're talking.
We do put gravel around them or we don't?
We do. We dump gravel around.
We don't gravel around them.
We put gravel around them instead of dirt. Around the bottom. I just wondering, you know, with that gravel, it'll hold moisture. And they're rusting out on us too.
But the dirt's going to hold moisture too.
I think the dirt, but I'm not looking at it in the basement. I mean, the hydraulic pressure of the earth pushing down on it. I mean, that's all I'm thinking, because it would.
Do you think the gravel's better?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think so.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Like against a basement, you'd put the gravel in there, and it helps get the water through faster. But and, you know,
Clear down the side of the basement, you can put gravel all through it.
yeah, because you want your water to get down your water table and rise up. So, and it just helps the water get through faster. You know. But I think on dirt or something, you know, the hydraulic pressure against that tube would probably smash it a little bit or something. You know, I don't know. Do we order those with the small whistles, or do we have a small whistle order coming up? Don't we usually order about 75 of those?
We just got done getting that order in a couple months ago, or better. And then all of these repairs showed up because, again, our operators, have been looking at these, and we found several of these larger tubes that have been undermined.
We usually go out for bid on those, don't we?
That's correct.
I mean, do we need a motion on that?
Just not to go out for the bid, no.
I'm good with you going out for bid.
I'll bring that back to you as soon as we've got that available. Last week, we spoke about the landfill, and I sent you a bunch of items, engineering reports, some permitting. I also sent you I believe it would have been a report and/or a bid from Terracon to do the groundwater testing at the old MSW area. And that's something that's tracked over the years after we've reclaimed that ground or covered it and closed those cells. In order to better explain this, your request was to have Terracon come in and speak to you. I talked to Tony Malini of Terracon and said we need to roll all of these items up into one presentation to include the groundwater and the reasoning behind those things. He is going to come in sometime probably in about 30 days and bring all that information to you and give you a presentation and answer those questions that obviously an engineer and someone doing the design should be able to answer a lot more effectively than I would. He did, and we spoke about that. He and I spoke about the roadway and the possibilities for the tipping floor change. He did want to look carefully at that because it may go over a portion of that old MSW, which could possibly be moved and reclaimed if it was more cost effective than changing the roadway or moving the building back. He said it's not an undoable problem, but that's probably something that he needs to look at and bring to you and discuss with you so that you have an understanding, and as well as I, about the roadway and what would be done or needed to be done to put it in if it impacted those areas. So as I said, in late October, early November, I'll schedule him to come in. If you have any other questions, I'll be meeting with him before that to deliver those questions to him so that he can be prepared to come in and speak with you.
I know. I remember at one time here a few years ago, we got called out on that drainage, that over drainage or whatever. That was coming out of the
Office, the shop.
the shop area. Remember the floor drains were all clogged up and they weren't.
It's correct.
So we were called out on that. I mean, are they aware of what we're trying to do here? I mean, do we need to remind them that because we weren't compliant, right? I mean, we weren't compliant with.
It was one of the things on the inspection that needed corrected, and most recently, when we did the steel work on that building, we had that drain cleaned out again.
Oh, you did?
So it's something that, as it plugs, periodic maintenance is a must for that until we find a better design and we move that operation. Next thing I had for you was update on the buildings, the old judicial building and the new senior center. I went by the new senior center. The demolition on that is going well. STARS program is going through, taking up the flooring and demoing the walls and getting ready to put back in the needed bathroom and other walls that will need to be changed in order to make that usable. Jessica spoke with Randy Page about the judicial annex, and that building's projected to be complete probably at the end of the year. I just got him the paint colors and things that were requested, and I think he's waiting on a few other items, but he tells us at this point that's his best projection at this point. I have a noxious weed update from Johnny. So going into October, the right-of-way spraying is winding down going forward. He plans to meet with the road shop foremans, get their input on a list of bridges, guardrails, culverts, and things that they feel need to be cleared and sprayed. He's also putting together last orders for noxious weed chemicals for 2023 and stocking up on pest control chemicals, products for mouse control, and that season will be coming up soon as colder weather approaches. Ending the year in November, December, he'll be doing administrative duties, compiling state weed surveys, cost share programs, and the state reporting that's required of him. Lastly, during the cold months, he plans to keep doing cleaning, painting, and at the office in the area there, and do building and equipment maintenance.
I got a question for you. Let me go back on the senior center. Since we're selling the old one, did we send out an email to all the staff about stuff we have stored in there?
I'm sorry?
About the stuff that's still stored in there? I mean, is everybody aware that we're getting ready to sell it? If they have anything over there, they need to get it out of there, or?
Yes. And then the sheriff and I spoke about kitchen items that belong to the county that may be able to be used at the jail in their kitchen operations, and we're going to be looking at that as we plan to move all that stuff out of that building. But yes, I've sent out an email letting everyone know, and most of the storage items I've seen in that building are freezers, refrigerators, decorations, and things that as they came to the end of their life service there, they got left in the building.
There's a
They
bunch
got
of stuff
moved.
upstairs. I don't really know what it is.
Some decorations, some puzzles or games. We are looking at moving some shelving out of that building. There's some wooden shelving up front down in a storage area off of the main room. I would like to move that over to the new building, refit it and paint it to cover one wall because the cabinet space is lacking in that new building, and it would save us a considerable amount on buying cabinetry or shelving. So we're going to try to either find a purpose or repurpose as much material as we can before we clean out the rest of that building. Next thing I had for you was the work on our boiler at the courthouse. The cells that needed to be replaced were replaced. After or during replacing those, the pump and pump assembly that operates that system failed. CDL has put together a estimate on what it's going to cost to replace that system, but the new cells and the system itself is operational with the exception of the pump that is now failed. And I'm sorry I didn't read you off the number, but the number is just north of 3,000, 3,100 something maybe.
We have a really expensive boiler. It's a lot of money in that thing.
$3,198.90.
Thank you.
So from my understanding from a few years ago, those cells, they don't have a warranty on them, right? Or they do, or? Because we spent 20 grand 2 years ago and we spent 20 grand this year again, right?
This, I don't know about the numbers, but I would have to believe you're in the ballpark. But the cells themselves don't have a warranty. My understanding, it's the labor and the installation. But I don't know that there is a life expectancy or a warranty on the cells or parts themselves once installed.
Is this something that, do you think that the STARS program, their HVAC system or class could tackle? I know that Bill Hines is the instructor there and he used to work on this thing when we spent 100 grand on it the first time.
The only issue I see with that is that this is a state inspection piece that we have to put it through. We're on a waiver now with the fire marshal's office. We have to put it through an inspection afterwards, and it may be a little advanced for that program. I can't speak to that directly, but I'm taking a guess that this type of work with the inspections that go along with it may be a little further than a basic certification program would want to tackle. This item is underneath the purchasing ability for myself, but because we had sank so much into the original repairs to it, I brought it back to you and was looking for your direction where you wanted to go with this piece.
I wanted to throw it away a long time. No, I mean, we got to do what we got to do because it's coming up. Winter's coming up, but I think we should, I mean, beyond that, so we'll go ahead and make a motion, or do you need a motion for this? Or
I don't think so, just direction on it because it's within my
choice, do we? I mean, we just spent all that other money on it. What do you think?
You gotta fix it.
Make a motion and go on.
I think that we should probably start right now on figuring out a HVAC system over there though, because if we have to go through the historic society and all that, it's gonna take.
Yes, it's a process.
I'm good with it.
Okay, I'll get it ordered. Our new track hose, I was told this morning, the North shop will be getting the thumb put on theirs. They're delivering that. And the other attachments are here and ready, and the South shop will have their thumb placed on their machine next week, and they will be fully operational.
How many hours have we used them this month, you know?
I do not. I'll have to get that number, but I don't have an accurate number for those currently. I do know, as I spoke to the South shop, and I did not speak to the North shop this week, but I do know the South shop, we've suffered some illness throughout the shops, and the gentleman that was operating that was out for a large portion of the last week or so.
Are our part-time mowers still on?
Believe we have one or two still mowing, but we've got new personnel that we've hired before they go into the CDL program mowing as well, trying to finish
We're
up.
going now.
Yes.
They are up north.
So we're trying to maintain that, catch that back up before we take that personnel off and start the CDL program and the training program that they have to get their their CDL.
Has anybody shared with you their knowledge of why my district barn was shut down? I know that you said you were going to try to figure out exactly why.
I have not gained any knowledge on that other than I did speak with the foremans, had a meeting with them, and came up with some tentative plans that could put supervision back into that barn and not cut up the equipment any more than necessary. But we have effectively spoke about a plan to do that and what it would take. And if that's something that you are interested, I can give you the details on that, and then we can try to move forward. But essentially, the gist of it is that we would move not only just the mechanic, but the operator stationed at that shop, station a mower over there for part-time, allow him to do the culverts and other work in the off season, and then the two shops would split those tasks and the assignments during the asphalt season like they currently are now anyway. But we would effectively assign all the personnel and the equipment to him that is currently in that shop, and then he would start in the off season taking those assignments and supervising those people. Todd. And I think if that's the direction you'd like to go, it is the smallest and most doable step without reorganize everything at once. If that's what you'd like me to do, we can accomplish that and see how it runs and report back to you. See if the tickets get done quicker or any of the effective work or the daily work is done any more, I guess, proficient or quicker, and then report back to you. I think that's the smallest change and the smallest tweak to it that we can do and take a gradual step. I don't know that we, as shorthanded as we are and with the equipment we have or have dispersed, I don't think we want to do it all at once.
I just want to be sure that, so I'm still getting phone calls over the mowings, why I asked, because there's a bunch of areas over there that haven't been getting mowed. They feel like they're not getting the time of day that they need, and I keep hearing about it, so.
There's a lot of places in my district that hadn't been mowed too, I've seen in the last weeks, and I haven't seen a mower out anywhere, so. Not that they haven't been, but I haven't seen it.
I'll pull the mowing and get you a list of those. And then if that's something you want to do, if you want to move the supervision, the other convenient part of that, we are in the evaluation stage and can reassign those personnel pretty easily.
What is Todd's duties during the winter?
Todd takes on special projects, patching until weather prevents that. He also does snow removal. He jumps in and does some equipment and some specialty items for us. Like we just had him trench out a line at the Parker Tower. He does a lot of, because he has, at this point, just him and Jake, they do a lot of special projects, and then they take on projects for the other shops to fill in the winter.
Do you guys feel like we should bring said guys in here and we have kind of a workshop with them and go over what, I don't think we've ever been over what their expectations are and their roles, and I know it's kind of been a issue every now and again.
I know Todd comes to work earlier and it's in asphalt season. Does he continue that through the winter, or does he go back to the same schedule that the other?
I believe he continues his, but I'd have to check on that. I don't have a solid answer to that. I would have to look at it. I don't recall last season whether or not we switched back.
Pardon me?
They're just coming when they want, or what?
They come in early during the asphalt season.
They try to beat the heat during the asphalt season and get in
Winter time,
early.
there's no benefit to us coming in early, I don't believe, especially if we make you supervisor over the
That would be correct.
other shop. I mean, he's gonna have to change his time schedule.
That would be correct.
How would you feel if we brought them all in and we just kind of had a workshop right here and we talked what our expectations are, what we our goals and they kind of, we just hash everything out and we all on the same page.
I'm fine with that.
Do you think that would be beneficial?
This is the last item on my agenda. I do have 10 minutes of legal and 10 minutes of non-elected personnel I need to go over with you, and I think that may impact part of your discussion.
All right, we'll just, I mean, I can't obviously do it today, but we can. You need, what do you need, Sean?
10 minutes of legal and 10 minutes of personnel for non-elected personnel.
Gary, you needed,
Well, at least 20 minutes.
you know, you had Sean on here report.
For now, yes.
So we have 20 minutes legal with Gary and then we have Sean, 10 minutes legal and 10 minutes personnel, right?
Correct.
All right, I'll make a motion. We go into executive session for 20 minutes with Gary for legal and 10 minutes legal for Sean and 10 minutes personnel with Sean.
Will that just push the agenda? As far as public thinking?
We're, yes, a little bit, yeah. We're gonna try to stay on it, because I'm gonna try to stay on task, but yeah, we'll try our hardest.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and second, all in favor?
Aye.
What'd you say, Sherry?
That's what I'm thinking. With the time. It's 9:38.
Where's Sean? Sean back on the county projects. Is that what he talked about during this?
We'll have to-
You coming back for something else?
Yeah, it's Mike. We'll have to accept Mike's resignation.
Oh, yeah. All right, we did have a little bit of action. I'm going to start. Is Sean? Is he in here?
Yep. He was gonna do some person.
I assume, Commissioners, you want me to speak about the employee issue from the, okay, I've received and request that you accept a resignation from Mike Nation, our North Shop foreman. He's given his resignation effective immediately, and I'd also like to publish and open up that job for applications.
I'll make a motion that we accept Mike Nation's resignation and offer him our best wishes and open up that position for immediate applications.
I'll second. Motion moved, second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioners, did you need anything further from me?
I don't have anything. Bill, you want to speak on this a little bit? Help? I mean, what do you?
What- Well,
So you've got Amanda here on the
we need to
agenda.
do that at
I'm sorry,
11. We need to wait
You
till,
have Amanda on the agenda. Also, employee evaluations, she's here. Whenever you want to get to that.
we want to take care of that
care of
during
that.
our time slot at 11:30 or
That's up to you guys. I
Oh,
mean,
we don't have to take care of it right now?
it's up to you.
We'll wait until then. Amanda, go ahead and come on up.
Good morning. Amanda Snyder, Linn County Health Department Director. I just have some updates for you. Our numbers for September, we served 115 clients. That is a little low for us, but September is more of a planning month. We're catching up from the end of summer and scheduling all of our flu clinics for the fall. So this Friday, October 6th, we will kick off our flu shot drive-through clinic. That will be from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the health department. And then again on Saturday, October 7th from 8 a.m. to noon. So anybody can come by and get their flu shot. We have scheduled flu clinics for our county employees and emails have been sent out. But just as a reminder, they will be October 12th from 3 to 5 p.m. and October 13th from 7 a.m. to 4, and those will be held at the Judicial Building this year. We have a couple separate rooms that we can utilize there, so employees just have a little more privacy to have those completed. Some of our other flu clinics in the county, we have 8 scheduled so far. Those consist of schools, senior centers, employers, our lake communities, and we also have some homebound clients that we will serve. We are partnering with the fire department to host a trunk or treat and flu shot clinic on October 29th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. That will be on Main Street in Pleasanton. We are inviting other local businesses to participate as well, and there will be an every door mailer going out this week to let people know about that. Bids for our classroom have been extended until October 31st, and those requests have been published in Bourbon County, Miami County, and Linn County. October, as I'm sure you know, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we are doing a couple different things. Last year we did a door decorating contest for our county employees as well as at all of our schools. We are doing that again. And then last year we did the breast cancer flamingo flocking, and we will do that again this year. So we will start off by flocking a Linn County business, and then these will stay in their yard for a week, and then they choose where they move to next. So just some breast cancer awareness information. We are also on the wait list to have the mammogram bus come to Linn County. It's a really neat 3D imaging. It's like a motor coach that comes, and people can come and get a mammogram. They can bill their insurance or they can pay an out-of-pocket price. So we've been on the wait list for that for a couple months, but it's very, very popular. So hopefully we'll get that in the next year or so and be able to offer that to the women of Linn County. Other than that, I have my employee evaluations. There is one that I need to get signed this afternoon, but I have the other 4 in here. So I don't know how you want to handle them. If you just take them and review them, or if we sit down and review them. I don't know what you prefer.
And we've done different things at different times. I mean, I definitely will need them for the employee files. Typically, the commission wants to review it at some point, whether it's with Amanda or just review them. Kind of what you guys want to do at this point.
I think last year, didn't we review it with the department heads?
I think that's what we did. But
Is that how you guys want to do it?
Be fine with me
So if we have any questions, we can ask.
directly.
Do you want to do that today, or do you want me to come back another day?
Do you have a deadline for all those coming in?
Yesterday.
should be in.
Oh, it was yesterday.
I mean, and we're receiving some of them in the office. We're still working on some.
Seemed like last year went pretty good, didn't it?
Did we go over them all last year?
I don't know if we went over
Every one of them? I don't think we did. I think we just let the department heads, we went over the ones that we actually,
I was thinking you had
Supervise.
some of them, but I don't know that every.
I don't remember looking at all of them myself. But
If
You don't think it's necessary to?
it's one of the ones that were direct reports to us.
I think those are definitely necessary. Yeah.
Is there a time that you'd like me to come to do my review? Or do you want to let me know?
Should we start just putting some at the very end of the meetings?
Whatever you guys want to do. I mean,
We actually do them and then call them in, right? We actually do the
yeah. So you guys need to work on the ones on people that report to you.
direct reports to us. We actually work on them and then we have them come in.
Right.
That leads me to a question as far as evaluations. If we're going to talk evaluations here, go ahead, Amanda. You
Oh,
talk
no.
about what you got, and then
I'm finished. That's all I had.
So
you done?
Yep.
can I jump in for just a second? I think Sean was pretty well done with his stuff today. Is that correct?
I have 2 other parties that came here to speak, one about Queens Road and one about Rachel.
Okay, so there is a little bit left. I was just thinking we had a little time yet, but I've got Sean on there for a while, so maybe not. anyway.
So you want her to leave those with David and
Yeah,
then,
Set up a time to come back and go through them, or?
I
I
think
don't
so.
know that we need to go through all of them, do we?
I don't think you have in the
I don't,
past.
I don't think we need to go through.
I think we need to go through the ones that's our direct report and let her decide.
I think, isn't that how, yeah, that's how we did it last year, isn't it?
We just did the direct report ones.
Well, that's
Right.
Do you want a hard copy or do you want me to email them to you?
email is fine.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Amanda.
Yep. Thank you guys.
On evaluations, is I guess we got time. My question is now, we have a Jessica in there and Sean has to evaluate Jessica, correct?
That's correct.
So, and then we turn around, we have to evaluate Sean. Is that not a nepotism issue? How are we going to do that with three of us sitting there? With Sean's, he evaluates the commissioner's wife, and then we evaluate Sean.
Since it's not a direct report, it's not in my opinion that it's nepotism, but obviously, you got a different opinion.
We chose to put her where it was. She was a direct report before, right?
You took her out of that role and put her under Sean.
Because of the situation we're in.
That's correct.
So we just keep moving it and it just keeps coming back to us each time of what we've done. So Jason could know about what her evaluation is, and then he gets to evaluate Sean.
Theoretically true.
Okay. I got problems with it. I mean, it goes back to, again, the nepotism issue just keeps rising its head.
What do you want to do about it? What's our options? What do you think we should do?
We didn't put ourselves in this position.
The voters voted for him. So should we just fire her?
She knew when we did this that she was going to be a direct report to him, right? The way it was set up, if he became a commissioner, everybody knew that she would be a direct report where we was at with the setup, with the way we had our organizational chart. Did you not know that, Jason? That
That
you
what?
had been a direct report to us when you were in? Because she answered to us before. She was a direct report. to
So,
us.
but you had already changed that before the elections. So,
No, you had been elected.
Nope.
In the primary.
Nope.
The primary had been, and you was,
your memory is foggy on that.
can you look back at that, David?
So what's our options here? What can we do? Or what can't we do? What can we do? How do we move forward? Gary, you got anything? Jim, what do you think we should do?
You think it's okay?
I don't know. I'm asking you. We're brainstorming here. What do you want to do?
Well, it was set up
What can
where
we?
it would not, we would not allow it if we didn't change it. And our council recommended that we change it that direction.
I'm not. I don't know what we can legally do or can't do. I don't know. This is not my forte. I don't. What can we do, Gary? What do you want to do? We don't just have everybody knocking on the door to come and get a $12 an hour paycheck. So I mean, I appreciate everything she does. So I'm just.
Please.
We just don't. It's a lot of people applying, so we got a lot of open positions. So I'm not trying to push anybody out the door. I'm just trying to figure out what we can do here to move forward and go on. No suggestions? Nobody has anything?
I'm still searching minutes last year, so I don't know when it was.
I don't have a problem holding Sean accountable for his job, regardless of whatever situations Jim may deem as outstanding.
I might suggest one thing possibly. If the concern you have, Jim, is that in evaluating Sean, Jason might be partial or detrimental to him because of the fact that Sean then evaluates his wife, perhaps on the evaluation of Sean, Jason could recuse himself from being involved in that evaluation.
Then if we decide, if it is, just say it's a bad evaluation, then it goes back to us too because of that. So how do you handle that?
Well,
It's a situation that we go back again. We created it ourselves.
well, you're going to have a situation one way or another, Jim. I mean, we've talked about this. You
If
can't,
we'd have left it the way it was, it would not have, they couldn't have done it. If she'd have answered directly to
well,
us,
then you can put her back directly under you. You got the,
it can't work then, so.
but you said it should have been left that way.
We cannot have that, that's what I'm saying. So this could not have worked, that she could not have worked for us.
But she already was working for us, Jim.
So
And
he's
so
elected.
I think what you're suggesting is when Jason got elected, Jessica should have been fired.
No, no,
I don't see what other option you're raising.
she can't work for us. She would have had to resign.
I think that's just semantics, I believe.
Pardon me?
That's semantics. I mean,
Okay.
to tell her she's got to resign is the same thing as firing her, in my opinion.
It was their decision, not mine. Or the rest of the county taxpayers. It was not that everybody else's, it wasn't my decision, my district's decision. It wasn't Danny's district's decision.
Well, I feel certain that the people that elected Jason were aware that she worked for us. So it was the people of that decision, that district.
I wasn't, it's my district.
So what do we do to move forward? We don't really want to get anywhere.
What do you have as far as the minutes? David,
I
anything else?
haven't spotted where it was yet.
Okay.
Something we're going to table till next week, or are we going to, what are you guys going to do? Or Jim, what do you want to do? You're the concern.
You're chairman, Danny.
It's a concern of yours. You brought it up. What do you, I mean, you want to figure out
I
what we-
voiced my concern. I said, you're the chairman.
I'm tired. You guys, we're gonna table it till next week, then and we'll do some research, I guess, and we'll just continue it next week. Sean, you ready?
Scheduled first. We have an opportunity to look at some cabinets at the 4-H building. They obviously have been there for some time. There would be some in-kind from the county for this, and we've had a little bit of discussion on it, and I think you asked me to bring the project to you and to have a discussion on it this week. If you would like to fill them in,
Sure.
please tell everybody.
For sure. Hello, I'm Abby Powell, and I am the director of the Meridazine Extension District. And we manage the 4-H building as far as scheduling and working with Public Works here to make sure that the repairs are taken care of. And Sean last week presented that we are having a remodel at the extension office. And so we have currently, as of today, are in the old law office uptown in a temporary location as we remodel the extension office. In that remodel, we are redoing our kitchen, which leaves some fairly new, very nice cabinets that Mr. Spencer put in probably 8 years ago. And we would like to see if you guys would entertain the idea of us donating those to the 4-H building with some of the capital outlay funds from the line item of the 4-H building to be used to purchase countertops, replace the plumbing, which is in ill repair to those sinks, and also bring the sinks up to date with a 3-compartment stainless steel sink and a proper hand washing sink to be used for whoever rents or uses the building, and also during Fair Week. I've worked with Coleman Hardware on getting some prices, and we're looking at roughly $3,000 to bring that up to date and get the 2 sinks in, with the sinks being the majority of the cost because they are a spendier project. And so I'm just requesting the ability to spend those funds from our capital outlay in our
For the
4-H building.
4-H building.
Yep.
That 3,000 that covers and install the cabinets and the
Yes, because Public Works Department would send their service over to do them, and the possibility of maybe even using the Spark program in Pleasanton to put those in. Our contractor was willing to do it, but he moves very quickly, like brought it up that afternoon and had them out the next morning and was like, where would you like me to hang those? I'm like, whoa. So that is kind of off the table now just because he's in construction mode at our office. So.
I don't have an issue with it. I mean, it's
I don't either. I think that, updated cabinets in there would be a very nice thing. We're getting these for free. So the little bit of cost, you have that in your budget for the 4-H building. So a little maintenance on that building wouldn't hurt us.
would you? Because we just kind of do it the 4-H budget ourselves, right? It's just kind of a small little.
It's one that we have in the county budget for.
Would you guys be willing to come in and talk next year? Just kind of give us an idea of what you guys. I mean, if you guys have something planned, or you guys want to suggest that it needs repairs or something, and we can budget for it.
Because really, we've not done a lot of repairs. We did take the shag carpet off the walls and painted. The 4-H clubs did a lot of that. And then we had some memorial money that the 4-H put into that building to increase the facilities. And so right now, if we get the kitchen updated, really, it's looking pretty good. The HVAC is, I'm going to say this and I'm going to eat these words, seems to be in good working order. But yeah, I'd be happy to come in and kind of go through. Because right now, what we typically spend of a year is cleaning services and utilities with, a small thing here and there. So really, we don't have a lot of budget expenditures. I think as of the end of August, we were just over $15,000 of our $29,000 budget.
Gotcha. All right. We need a motion on that, or David?
It wouldn't hurt to do it, yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we allow the countertops, plumbing, sinks, not to exceed $3,000 for the 4-H building.
I'll second. Motion to move and second. Any more discussion?
Why wouldn't we have brought this up before, instead of just dropping it on us right now? I mean, we'd have talked about, planning. Danny, you're a big one, and I think it's good that we plan for what we're doing, but why would we just up and decide this today?
I mean, I agree. I mean, I spoke on that last week. I think that it needs to come in literature with their budgets and I think it's,
So, I mean, that would have been last year, right? Because it's in this year's budget.
Why wouldn't we talk about that, needing it, planning ahead?
I agree. And that's what I think I just talked to her and that's what we're gonna do next year. I mean, it's,
And this was not something that was planned. This was extension trying to look for an avenue to take these cabinets other than destroying them or giving them away.
There is 5,000 in the budget in capital outlay for the 4-H building that we have not spent any of this year. I don't know if anyone had any plans for any more of it or not. It's just an amount I had in there.
Were there any plans?
No.
yeah, so if we could just lean on you next year during the budget. And
Yep.
it's kind of just
Yep.
I know it's probably not a huge presentation, but.
Yeah. And usually the 4-H building's been kind of on a, when something comes apart, to have to repair it type situation. So, absolutely.
I mean, if you just kind of like tell us, like, you know, mentioned somebody gave you some money for something. Just come in and visit with us about that stuff every now and
Okay.
then. if you would, and,
Sure.
Just so everybody knows we got a camera here.
Yep, no, that's fine.
So, but thank you for taking care of it.
Yep.
So I believe Jason made a motion to
Yeah.
allow the up to 3,000.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries 2-1.
All right, thanks, you guys.
Those are the dates she's available.
The next thing I had for you was the Queens Road embankment. And we spoke about this last week. Peppercorn Engineering and Environmental has a $5,000 engineering fee, and you wanted to bring the parties in and speak on this and discuss the project before moving forward with that. I brought back in the engineering, the other request.
I'm sorry, John, what are you looking at?
Queens Road.
Oh, Queens Road.
Yeah, good morning, Commissioners. Jacob Coulter with Kansas Wildlife and Parks. I'm just an interested party here. I think the last time I came in a few weeks ago, I was seeing if there were any available funds that we could use to assist with a project like this, just because we have interest in maintaining that road. I looked or asked up my chain of command, hey, what kind of flexibility do we have in the funding that we have? And it was pretty clear that because of the grant kind of the definitions of how these funds are generated by hunters and anglers, that there are just strings attached to that money that we can just use them on operations and maintenance on our wildlife areas. So that was kind of like, no, you can't just write a check to the county or this third-party engineering to invest in the county road just because it connects two portions of the wildlife area. That was pretty clear. If there is any gray area, it's just because that county road, the area of concern happens to go through a portion of the wildlife area is adjacent to that. And so if there were things like tree removal associated with a project like this, then maybe, hey, we take that on and we say, hey, we're going to remove trees as an effort to, hey, we sell timber and stuff from time to time. So I kind of walk that stretch out and like, well, there is at least some marketable trees down through here and less desirable trees in here. So, you know, that'd be an area where it's like, hey, we're not writing a check to the county, but it's a way to partnership and still kind of meet the criteria of the limitations, I guess, that I have. So that's, I guess, why I'm coming back today to say I can't financially partnership other than maybe some ways like that.
Okay.
What was the engineering on that?
$5,000.
So, Sean, we'd spend $5,000 on engineering and get a plan, and then we'd go out for bids. And do you have an estimate of what that project would cost?
I do not. That's what the engineering would tell us, what projects we would be able to cut out and split between the two agencies, and what the estimated cost of those, and we would be able to drill down on those and cut it apart decide who was going to do what and what the expense was, but this is the initial cost for that planning and those estimates.
I just can't justify spending money on that road when there's 10 people that use it a week. And I mean, we're still allowing them access all the way down to that spot because we're going to put what, block across if we were to do this?
If you were to close the roadway,
We wouldn't
that-
actually close the road. The bad spot, we put blocks in, right? And just like be a parking spot pretty much, right?
a turnaround or a parking
And then
area,
everybody just go up around it probably and build their own road.
quite possible, then we'd have to work with the property owners about the diversion of the vehicles.
Don't we own the property?
I'm sorry?
Don't we own the property?
We own the roadway.
Who owns the hillside? I thought it was us.
The hillside, no, that is all wildlife and parks in this area.
That entire road's not owned by Wildlife and Parks. We just happen to own about a 300-yard frontage of kind of that worst spot, I guess, of concern.
The damaged area.
I received calls from people that use that road, Danny, that don't want to see it closed.
Yeah, I think the road study's being referenced a couple times, and I get that we got to spend county money wisely. I live in Linn County. I want us to be fiscally responsible. If it's being based on a traffic study, then I guess I might ask, well, what amount of traffic would justify some amount of expense? And then could we just revisit a traffic study to show, hey, maybe not in the worst possible time of summer, the hottest days, with the lowest traffic, if this was revisited in, I don't know, October, November, December, January, February, something like that, would we say, hey, there's enough traffic flow in here to justify something like this? So if we're saying, hey, there's not enough traffic to spend this amount of money on it, then what's the threshold? And is that just kind of how other traffic, all other road repairs are kind of done? Hey, we're going to do a traffic study to make sure that it's justified.
I don't think we've set forth any kind of guidelines on that previously, have we, guys?
Not that I know of.
And I'm not one to kick the can down the road, guys, but I mean, has anybody been to the site and kind of looked at it?
Yeah.
Ish. I mean, it looks about like it did a year and a half ago. It's just not a real active site. So it's getting a lot of attention now for some reason, but I don't know that a decision has to be made right away on it. And again, I'm not trying to drag my feet forever, but if we could say, hey, let's revisit a traffic study, or if there's some other opportunity for funding to come along, then those things may still be on the table. It's been like that for a long time. It's posted, it's signed. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to have a high level of urgency. But then again, that's probably more of a county decision.
So are you suggesting maybe do another traffic study in November, say, and see what it,
Only if that would warrant somebody being more comfortable, at least with spending some money on engineering. All I'm saying is, hey, if that's what was being used to can it, then we did it another time or two throughout the year to say, hey, this is getting at least some high enough seasonal use that it would warrant at least further examination.
The only thing I can add to that is, as we spoke to the engineers on site, they do believe we sufficiently barricaded and marked it for the conditions it's in. So the only thing I would add about the discussion is you do have time. You can visit it now, you can visit it later, but the engineers have made it clear to us we've taken appropriate action at this point, and there's not a dire rush. But whenever you'd like to address the decision or what information you'd like me to bring back, I'd be happy to do so.
So as long as the situation don't change as far as erosion or anything, we're covered now? We'll leave it just the way it is,
For the temporary time, yes, that is my understanding from the engineer.
as long as it's.
As long as it doesn't continue to deteriorate at this point.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about Bilton County roads, guys. We've moved some roads, and some similar department-owned roads, some, basically the same thing going on a little bit smaller scale. So I mean, I get what it takes to build a road, but I mean, it's not a real complicated thing, but I don't know if that's just protocol that all types of these projects would be engineered. I've been on enough projects to know, hey, once engineering gets involved, then, you know, there's just some standards that might drive some costs that may not necessarily be warranted. So that's kind of, I'm still wondering if there is some middle ground here where it's like, hey, instead of spending $5,000 on engineering, if you spent $5,000 on just actual road mitigation, would that be money better spent, or does it have to be engineered? And then if so, to what level? I mean, we're just talking about moving dirt, compaction, taking out some trees and adding rock. It's not like a pouring concrete and
The last thing I want to do is shut the road down, but I mean, so my fight is there's no property owners on it that are taxpayers. There's no access to anyone's land. It's just, it's a connecting road, or and you can go out around it, what, 3 miles, 4 miles?
Yeah, it'd be about 4 miles to go west of Boycord, up and down kind of a steep road. To say there's no taxpayers on the road, I mean, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, we don't pay county taxes. We pay payment in lieu of taxes. We've been doing that for as long as the wildlife area has been in county. And there are adjacent landowners on either side of this issue. So, I mean, just because it's not cutting off access, it makes things very inefficient. I mean, that not cutting off access is basically just saying, hey, that would only work if it's like a dead end road or a one-way street or something like that. I mean, we can always get to another place by some other way. It's just not efficient from emergency management response, fire response, medical, law enforcement, things like that. It's just probably just a much more efficient way to go north and south through that part of the world.
I get that. I understand that. What are you guys going to do on it? You guys want to, I mean, do we have, by law, do we have to have engineering on the road? I mean, what do we?
The reason we felt like we needed engineering was because of the danger that's there. We needed an engineer to tell us if it was a danger that required the road to be closed. We know now where we are in that regard. I think that if you decide to relocate the road without further engineering, I think you're probably okay, don't you?
My understanding, and you would have to check those facts, my understanding is the deed is less the roadway. So similar to other projects, there wouldn't have to be surveys and there wouldn't have to be, as long as there was some type of agreement in place. If we had that agreement, could we move the roadway and make an effort to reslope that bank after the tree removal? Certainly we could. But as far as safety measures, guardrail, signage, those things.
That's the stuff we need engineering.
That's the things that I wouldn't be able to change or alter without engineering. But if you're just talking moving 12, 16 feet to the south and cutting around that spot, certainly that's quite possible.
Can we not just vacate the road and, I mean, haven't we done that before?
Well, if you vacate the road, then you would be responsible for blocking it off so that
you
people
said
can't get
why
into
not?
the dangerous area. I mean, if that's why you're vacating it.
We make a minimum maintenance all the time, so what's the difference on minimum maintenance than that? If we made that just a minimum maintenance.
If it's a minimum maintenance road, then we have much less responsibility in terms of the condition of the road. We would still have to maintain the safety structures that are there, or get an engineer to agree that they didn't need to be there anymore.
I'm for keeping the road open.
The way it is right now, or what?
One way or another. The way it is right now, I don't see how it's really that detrimental at this point. If the engineer's saying our signage is appropriate and stuff that way, if we determine that it is detrimental, I think we can move that roadway and buy us more time there.
Where did you send us those pictures, Sean? Was it in a?
I don't recall where that, everything I would have sent would have came through the clerk's office. If I could suggest, if you want us to explore the option of going forward, I think the next step, if we were to try to go forward, that doesn't become cost prohibitive, would be to work out an MOA and see if Wildlife and Parks would even agree to the MOA in sharing duties and responsibilities of land clearing or adjusting the roadway. If they were amenable to that, then we would know what our avenues or options are.
What we did on the last road that we moved, we didn't get any engineering on that. We knew where we wanted to move it. We designed the road ourselves.
Landowner didn't he get engineered?
I don't think there was any engineering,
He had a levee permit that was engineered
but that was.
at the edge of our project, which is why we moved away from it. But we
He
did
didn't
not
engineer the
get
road.
engineering on the road.
And so our staff designed the road and we built it to their specifications, but we had a memorandum of understanding with the property owner that allowed, he gave up the land for the new location of the road, allowed us to take dirt from another part of his land to build up the road. And then we built, and it was done without any engineering. And I think that could be done here as long, the engineering issue is the safety as long as the road's where it is now. I think we can move it without engineering and just follow that same procedure of letting our staff design it. I think that would work fine.
And can you check with wildlife to see if you guys can help, whatever avenues you guys have to help with?
We would probably put a design together, say, here's the road we want to build. And then we would go to them and say, here are the things that we would like you to consider trying to help us do. And if they say, yes, we can, then we would do a contract to that effect. If they say, well, we can do this and this, but not that, then we would take that route.
You guys good with that? You good with that?
Yeah. Instead of, I'm trying to get a blessing over a phone call to my chain of command, and they're probably a little hesitant to have me come down here and write a check that we can't cash. So something on paper lays it out, hey, and then that way I can just say, hey, is this within the grant parameters? Can we do this? This is our land, tree removal, things like that. And then hopefully we can keep the costs down, keep the road open well.
When we moved forward with that other road that we located, we knew what the cost was going to be before we made the agreement. And that's, I think that's what's crucial, is knowing what it's going to cost. We don't want to get into some open-ended deal.
Right. And our people will just give us a cost basis on what they think it'll take to do it.
That's what they did before. They said, here's what we need to do to this road. Here's what we think it'll cost. It'll cost us this many truck hours, this many grader hours, this many bulldozer hours, this many man hours, this much rock, and so forth. They listed it all out. We had a detailed cost estimate, and I think we were well within that when it was done, wasn't it, Sean?
I believe so, with the exception of some
Some
changes.
Yeah, we added riprap later and a couple
And
of.
some surfacing. The only question to this would be what I believe if we go forward with this and come up with an agreement, we should at first make it very clear, once a small area of tree removal is done, we get to pilot into the side of that hill to make sure what's underneath it is movable with the equipment we have. I believe it is. I don't believe we'll have a problem, but I do believe we should take this in small bites, because I don't want to promise that we've got the equipment available to handle this if I can't move what we land on in the side of that hill. And quite frankly, we could achieve or get equipment to do it, but I don't want to give you a cost estimate that is far under what it may cost if we run into rock.
All right, so we're gonna get a design and we're gonna present it to wildlife, and then we're gonna try to move forward on.
That's the problem
You good with
we're
that,
just
Sean?
talking about here, yeah.
You guys good with that?
I'm sorry?
You guys good with that? Both of you guys good with that? We're gonna get a design and try to move forward and see what we can do to get it done.
Then you can tell us what you guys would be willing to bring to the project.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and when you say design stuff, that's in-house county stuff, y'all.
Right, we would just
County
design,
on that?
design it and
Sure.
say, here's how we're gonna build this road, here's what's gonna look like, here's approximately where it's gonna lie. Here is, are the things that need to be done to make that happen, and here are the things of that list that we think you can do, and will you?
Yeah, and I guess, and that's, just that right there might drive cost a lot or not very much, like Jim brought up, it's like, what is the minimum maintenance road criteria? And can we just move it to have good, secure minimum maintenance road that covers the county? And so we're not talking about moving it 16 feet or something as a standard county road with acceptable shoulders. But if we just move it to meet the criteria for minimum maintenance, a good safe shoulder, then hey, that's kind of the middle ground that I was kind of hoping for. So if y'all don't come back with the big.
And I'm willing to support a minimum maintenance.
Yeah, I don't
road
say
and-
that, but I don't
Yeah,
know
I
what
know.
that really means,
Do we have any responsibility for that trestle that's there? Is that all the railroad?
I don't think that's on us at all, that's theirs. In fact, if we wanted to mess with it, we'd have to do a big licensing procedure like we did on that other one.
So if I understand you correctly, we can work on a redesign, some preliminary, a draft of what we believe this agreement would look like, basically a proposal, and see if we get any buy-in on the other side.
An in-house proposal from us, then.
Yes.
We present it to the.
Yes, to see if what we're proposing would be agreeable.
Sounds good.
I'm good with that.
Yep.
We'll work together and we'll try to get something brought up to speed, and then I'll update you on it when we get it done.
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want me to do that other stuff now?
Yeah, we can talk about that. Yeah.
One of the unfortunate things about where we have been so far on this solar discussion is that there has been, I think, a perception that some or all of the county employees and elected officials have their minds made up about what ought to be and ought not to be, and that's not the case. The commissioners are very committed to this process being an open process, and to getting people involved in both understanding the process and making input into the process. As a result, the commissioners have discussed and decided that, or they haven't decided, but they are open to having a public meeting, as Danny mentioned a couple weeks ago, or last week, I guess it was. This would be a public meeting, probably in an evening time, so that more people can attend, specifically aimed at the subject of educating everyone about the conditional use process, about what the solar regulations say, and so forth. This would be a detailed a look at the process. We've got to separate in our minds the two issues that I think I hear being expressed, concerns being expressed about. I think I hear folks expressing concern about the process and their input, and then really separate from that are concerns about just the presence of solar farms in the county. I think those are separate issues pretty much. And so this first educational forum, if you will, would focus on the process. It would focus on what the regulations say, how it works, how people can get involved, what kind of input citizens can have. It would be aimed at trying to make sure that everybody is talking about in the same language and understanding the same steps of the process. This would be the primary step that the commissioners would take prior to an application being submitted. Once an application is submitted of any kind, they would then, within a very short time, do another open forum on that application. This would be in addition to and previous to the the public hearing in the Planning and Zoning Commission. This would be an open public forum to talk about that application, to talk about how people feel about what it's requesting, what people think should be provided as conditions if it were approved, or what their reasons for not approving it. Keep in mind that the commissioners need to make findings about everything that they do. And so it would be helpful for the public to provide them with input on those findings.
So the first meeting that you are talking about getting everybody educated is only for you guys to speak. The public won't be able to speak at the first.
No. We would have a spokesman or spokespeople speak, and they would answer questions. We would prefer to have those questions submitted in advance in writing so we can be prepared for them. And as a matter of fact, some of you have been doing a great job submitting questions to us here over the last couple of weeks. We've been getting some good written questions and trying to include those in what we want to cover in this public forum. We've often.
You would be providing all the professionals that would speak, or are you going to have a biologist?
In this, okay, now see, the questions of biology and all that, those all deal with the questions that come up when there's an application. What we're talking about here is the process, because we've
Our
got to
zoning
understand
regs.
the process.
Our zoning regs.
Yeah, the zoning regulations. We've got to understand the process before we can effectively work together to deal with all the myriad issues that would be coming up if there is an application.
One thing, Gary. So if our citizens, so once we get an application and we go through the process on the cup, we can still deny
Absolutely.
that conditional use permit as long as we have the same findings we would have needed to ban it in our zoning regs as well. No?
Me?
Yeah, you were shaking your head no.
Well, because my opinion is different. I think that this should have been done on the forefront because we feel there's major issues that have to be addressed. And you're saying that we won't be able to address these in the first public hearing, that they have to be done once the conditional use permit, and I'm aware of that.
Well, every land parcel in Linn County is different. So you don't know which one, you don't know what it's going to be on. So there could be a paved road over here and a gravel road over here, and we have to, there's a bunch of regulations and we don't know. I mean, that's the details that the CUP has to bring in.
But I understand, but we brought multiple areas that we're concerned with. And we just, what we don't understand is why you guys take great care when your public officials come up and just talking about the road. You talk back and forth, there was questions, there was answers, and everybody was courteous. And when we stand up and we bring all of the information that we have, it's like we're not talking. You can talk, don't listen to us. And we just want the same courtesy, which is why we wanted the public hearing, because we have people that can come and speak to what's going on here that are experts.
And we're open, the commissioners are open to having as many public meetings as is required to cover everything that needs to be covered.
Mr. Thompson, we haven't done that. We've been denied agendas. We've been shut down at
There are,
zoning board.
when, there's a difference between coming into this meeting and
We were denied being on the agenda.
you,
Cut us off, specifically you, at zoning.
because you weren't on the agenda. You were on the agenda for a limited time. But planning and zoning is not the place for this discussion.
Why did you invite two solar development companies on your own? Why did you do that?
And give them more time than
You gave them more time.
We gave each of
Who
you
is we?
5 minutes.
Who is we?
The
Who is we?
the staff of
Planning and zoning.
the staff of the planning and zoning board.
Planning and zoning board staff. Met
Well,
with you.
Well, right now we're trying to move forward. We're trying to set up meetings and get this all settled out.
We
let's
really-
move forward. I mean, that was the past. It's done. Okay. We're trying to get this figured out. Okay.
Would you
So-
agree in the first public hearing that if we have people that are experts based on what we've been doing down here, that would they be able to speak?
Well, that's what we're kind of trying to discuss. We're going to try to set out meetings we're going to, right, Gary? I mean, we're going to go in and figure out.
I don't have a problem with experts speaking. I have a problem with some of the expansion of the truth I think.
We would provide you a list of the experts that would speak.
Okay.
Well, Gary, I got a question here. On September the 5th, we met with Attorney Trish Voth in executive session to talk about on a phone call. And then this letter that we were told not to show to anybody, would you explain what attorney-client privilege confidential means?
Attorney-client privilege means there's something in that the attorney or the client has deemed is confidential. It should not be public knowledge for some reason. And I don't make that call, but
Well, I thought it was to protect me, what I told you, that you couldn't tell. That's my definition. If I hired you, it was that what I'm telling you, you could not tell anyone else. Is that
it's
correct?
to protect the confidentiality of the relationship.
But, well, we had this, and then this letter comes out and says, we are pleased that you have asked our firm to serve as counsel for Linn County on September the 5th. And I don't know that we asked them yet. We didn't vote on it till, what, the 18th.
You instructed me to bring a letter of representation from them to you. And that's what I did.
Well, it's written back that we asked her to be our counsel, to serve as our counsel. And I don't know, in a job interview, we can have 10 people come in here, but we don't ask anybody to come interview, but we don't actually offer them the job, I guess, is what I'm saying. And the way that reads to me, we offered it to her.
Well, I explained that you asked me to get a letter of
And then,
representation.
this here was told us, and we were told not to give this to anybody.
It was considered confidential.
And then last night, this letters went out to the public.
Okay, a redacted version of that letter went out with some of the confidential stuff redacted. That's what went out.
We was told not to tell anybody, the price and everything else. I mean, that's what I was instructed to do. And that concerns me that we're told not to, and then it shows up to the public.
The document that you saw was not the redacted document. It was the complete document.
It confuses me what happened.
It confuses me too, because I'm the person that asked for the public record of it. And
How can you give this letter out later on, partial?
I didn't give any letter out, Jim.
But somebody
that
gave
letter,
it out, because I was told that it was out.
a request came in for that letter.
That was me.
That request was passed on to the attorney firm, and they said, we will redact it so it can be distributed. They redacted it, sent it back to David, and David distributed it. Yes.
But she wasn't working for us until we approved it at our meeting, even if we were negotiating.
So why was this, when it was handed to me, why was it privileged information? She wasn't working for us.
Because it says sent via email to Gary Thompson, agreement for legal services, September 5th, and she signs it. It's signed on the back. And what I asked for in public records was, I wanted to know what the contract was and what we're paying.
And we never actually agreed to hire her till the 18th.
Why the conflict of dates? Yes.
Can I speak?
That's up to,
Can I speak, Jason, Danny?
It's what's her.
Yeah, come on up and speak. Let's just get it out of the way and move forward with it.
Okay, well, on last Monday, the 25th, I asked for any and all records, contract of legal agreement, and financial contract with Trish Voth Blankenship, to which I received no response. I get it, Gary, David is busy. I again emailed on Wednesday, 9/27, asking our clerk how much she is paid in her contract, and that I'm sure they have one on file since she's already had billable hours because she was here on Monday. I received this response on Wednesday afternoon. Quote, "We have not received any bills yet associated with this issue. The only document I have is labeled attorney-client privilege confidential, so I do not have any documents that I can provide under open records law. Then on Thursday morning, I responded, so are you telling me you don't know the rate at which she is charged? This should be public record, and isn't she hired by the county? I'm very confused why this would be confidential. Then on Friday, I received a document stating attached, quote, attached is a redacted copy of the attorney agreement that was provided to us today by Folsom. Again, that's my question. Why was it provided today when it clearly states September 5th was sent via email to Gary Thompson, agreement for legal services?
Okay, I can answer that part of the question. The redacted version was provided that day. After your request, it was reviewed. The attorney sent me a redacted version that I could send out to you. I already had this document before. I just did not have it that had been redacted that I was allowed to send out.
Well, that wasn't the response that I felt was sent to me. What?
The motion to hire her was well after the.
Yeah, she wasn't hired till the 18th from what we
Then on the
see.
September 5th meeting, Darren Wilson sat in on our meeting when we talked to,
Very likely. I don't remember.
I'd look.
It's in the minutes.
In the meeting minutes. And then this last week, when we meet with her, we bring Sean in on it too. What was the reasoning for that?
The reasoning behind that is that they are individuals who perhaps could be helpful in terms of our managing of the legal issues involved. They're the ones who are going to be dealing with the solar.
Why didn't we bring him in the first time in the first meeting then instead of waiting until the last meeting? I don't understand
So
why.
you wanted them to be involved in picking? Or,
I don't understand why, if Darren is the man that's gonna be our go-between between the solar companies and us, why do we have to bring more people in for it? That just leaves more confusion, I think. I know when we bring more people in, we need to designate one if that's what we do.
Darren is the contact person in dealing with all questions from the outside. Since Sean is his supervisor, I suppose that's why.
I don't understand why we did that. We just keep getting the party bigger and bigger.
Well, I think we're getting off subject here, right? I mean, we're talking about what we're going to try to do to get everybody involved and get this.
No, we're still talking about
Moving forward and-
what's happening, Danny. This isn't.
Okay, well-
It's, did you guys receive any kind of communication from anybody Monday afternoon? Clearway Energy, did they reach out to either one of you guys?
not me.
Have you talked to either one of you talked to?
I have talked to Clearway.
Have you, Danny?
Nope. I don't even know. I
You've
don't.
never talked to Clearway or EDF, either one?
I don't know. I've talked. One of the guys called me, but I don't know. Like I told him, like I told everybody else, I'm not going to flood my brain with because he's for it. And
I'm just
you know,
saying, if they reached out to you, that's what I'm asking.
they sent me an email, but I didn't reply to it. They wanted to have some kind of meeting that I never.
I had 2 emails when we was doing our zoning regulations. I had 2 emails, but I didn't respond to either one of them. And then Friday afternoon, Clearway sends me an email and wants to meet with me. Tells me Friday or 2 days this next week.
That's what they told me too. And
I welcome them to come to the commissioner meeting on Monday morning. Any Monday they wanted to come, I welcome them to come. I'll talk to all 3. Haven't had a response.
When you speak to them, does it have to be in a commissioner's meeting or executive session or something where you can just randomly talk and be lobbied by?
They could talk to anybody at any time for the most part, except each other.
The 3 of us cannot talk to each other outside of these meetings. Other than that, yes, we can meet with them. We can talk with them.
Or with you.
Right?
You guys all 3 be in public comment, in public forum?
I will be there.
I think we're gonna have a call a
I'll
special
have to be in
meeting.
that special meeting.
And that's what we're trying to move forward with is, I mean, right? Is that what we were?
That's what I was talking about, was to try to talk about the fact that you really do want input. But, you know, if it gets too massive at one time, you're going to have trouble trouble handling it all. So I was suggesting you break it down and talk about process and then have a meeting, talk about content. You can include anything you want to in this forum, Commissioner.
Just like this, go ahead.
What happens if you get a conditional use permit application before we get all this done? That's what we're all concerned about.
Well, we have determined that we can, one of the things that I had on this list that I haven't been able to get to yet is that we're going to ask the Planning and Zoning Board, when their application comes, not to take any action for 60 days at least. So give,
60 days
At
before they
least.
process it?
but that, once the application is complete and accepted, and that's quite a process. But once it's complete and accepted, we're going to ask the Planning and Zoning Board not to take any action, not to have a public hearing, the public hearing, until at least 60 days, so we can have some additional forums or discussions in that period.
Wouldn't that not a moratorium?
No, it's in addition to the regulation. We can do things.
Be a better,
I'm sorry?
wouldn't a moratorium be a better route for us to go? Because we
The-
can slow everything down. And
And work
Dan
together.
wants to give us all an educational
We're-
session so that we can all work together. But I mean, I feel like we're just so rushed because we have 60 days. This.
No, at the minimum of 60 days, not, it's not,
But again, you're not listening to me. Wouldn't a moratorium be the best source for all of us? Because nobody would be pushed. The commissioners aren't going to be in such a rush. We're not going to be in a rush to get all these experts to speak. I mean, what is, Jason, Dan, and Jim, what are you against the moratorium? What would be,
I'm not against the moratorium. I made a motion last week to do it.
the other two, why? Answer me why. I mean,
So
there's several other counties in the state that put moratoriums.
while they're developing their zoning regs, we went through and had a moratorium on while we developed our zoning regs. When we completed the process, we had a moratorium on it already. And I guess from my point of view is I feel like we have some of your concerns addressed, not all of them. Some of your concerns are addressed in the zoning regs.
But we don't agree with it. That's
What do you mean?
when Mr. Kopp came in on the 5th and explained to you guys, the solar companies went this setback route. Everything was rolled back to accommodate the solar companies and not the people that live there.
The same findings, though, the same findings will deny the CUP as would change the zoning regs.
Then we go hire an attorney that's involved with the solar and the wind farm.
I agree. I've read about her extensively, and she is, in
That's the attorney we
overview.
hired.
Yeah, in the overview of Attorney Trish Blank, who should have declared the state, she's worked with renewable energy for over 20 years. And I feel she's obviously pro-solar. And it kind of feels like us.
Well, I think that's unfair. I think that's unfair to assume because I don't feel like that she was like that at all. I think she's.
Have you read her profile?
I talked to her in person, and I don't think she didn't try to say you guys need solar or you don't need solar. She's trying to tell us how and what I can say to that we can put in the CUP is what she was telling us.
And how, and like the meeting that we're trying to organize is to go over how you fight the CUP process during the CUP to keep the solar farm from coming in next door to you.
You appreciate that. But
But-
again, why are we limiting it to 60 days?
We're-
to fight?
You're not.
A minimum.
At least 60 days. That's not limiting to 60
What is
days.
it?
There is.
We're not saying there's a limit.
You had 60 days.
And-
That was in,
That's different information.
right.
It
I'm
is.
giving you different information because
It is.
we were misinformed or we misinterpreted what Mr. Kopp was saying.
Okay, so you can understand then if you were misinformed.
That's right.
You misinformed us.
And that's why we're trying to have a meeting to talk about the process.
But if we would have never been here, we would have never known that. Like, we would have never known any of this. Like, it's just conflicting information every time we come here.
Every meeting is something different.
We go back, we research it, we're like, wow, no, that wasn't correct. What you say is not always correct.
And you're speaking as an attorney. You're speaking as an attorney.
Can anybody talk right now?
Yeah, just state your name.
I'm Mark Briggs. So I didn't prepare a speech and I'm not one to get up and talk normally. I think a lot of people that are here are upset because we don't want this in our community. They don't know exactly how to handle it. but I know you guys don't want it next to your house. I know you, I mean, we live on acres and we send our kids to country schools because that's what our community is. So when you guys, we feel like you're not fighting for us, and that's your job.
I think we're putting the regulations in that we 1000% fought for everybody, because if not, they could have came right in like they did in Devon, right? And shoved it right up their butt and said, here you go. I feel like us putting the regulations in help stop everything. And so we can get our stuff together.
It lays out the game plan of how you can stop it from coming in across from your house. So you're saying
not
we're
just us,
against
you guys
it,
should be helping it too.
right? And
That's what
what we're saying is that we have the protections in place through our zoning regs.
And I disagree with that. I'm sorry, Barbara.
Go ahead.
I have a question. If 100% of the constituents in this county came to you, except for the people that don't live here and are willing to put their land on solar panels, if everybody came to you and said, I don't want this, are you going to say, well, we'll explain to you the process?
No, but I don't have everybody telling me they don't want it. I have some, after explaining what we have in place, that'll protect them in the event of them coming next door or whatever, that say, you know, I don't have a problem with that. So, and I've been out talking, trying to do my job. You know, Sherry, when we visited, you made me doubt myself. Okay?
And we had a very nice conversation.
You made me doubt myself. And why did I doubt myself? Because I want to do the right thing. Okay? Whether you believe that or not, because you've told me numerous times you don't believe me. But it is what I want to see happen. I want to see it go through. I think it is a divisive issue. I think there are people on the for side as well as people on the against side. And I'm not talking about, I didn't go talk to the landowners who are putting this in to find out what they said about it. I was talking about the places, I was talking where your petition was sitting around Lacine, right? I was answering their questions on what our process was, what our limitations were, and what was in place currently.
And we have over 15% of signatures against it in just less than a month. And that's what we're wanting you guys to, hey, wake up a little bit. We haven't had much time to reach out to people. And there's a lot of people in the county that are still unaware.
But I have people who have signed your petition telling me when I'm talking to them that, yeah, I signed it, but I don't really care. I just did that to get her to leave me alone.
All right.
Right? And I hear you.
But ask you this, what if we send this back to the planning and zoning board with just the question that with the information that we have now, that's been,
How's that different than what they had before?
I'm just saying, because there's information there that I've seen that I didn't see before. So I'm just saying, send it back to them and let's see what their answer is. If what the information they know now is, it's the same answer that they gave us before.
Well, that's what the CUP is for. Like the CUP lays out the more, it is.
I have a question. We have a ban on windmills, is that correct? Wind energy?
Yeah, same thing.
Okay. Why not solar? Why wind?
Where we get to.
Why are we picking one and not the other?
I voted
A little-
for it because I want you guys to be able to look at the opportunity to put whatever you want on your property, and then not because I want it, but
He did.
I voted to be open-minded. Okay, just because I put regulations in does not mean I want solar panels. Does not mean I want wind. But I do want to be open-minded about it. I want to see what the pros and cons of having it here would do. What it would do financially for us. I mean, I think we have to take the open-minded approach. How can we not? Everybody in here pays high taxes, correct?
So,
Right?
They're not gonna.
We'd all rather pay
No,
taxes than
but
have solar
we can
farms.
benefit off of it. Maybe with the schools.
We're not.
I don't know.
We're not. We're not.
Like that's what the CUP is going to do. It's going to explain what we can't do. That's what this attorney's going to do. She says because I asked all the questions. I'm not going to vote for anything that's going to hurt you, your families, nothing.
Well, it's already been.
I didn't though. There's no project in process right now. No, there's not.
There's a testing facility set up. So maybe the project isn't proposed to you guys, but you can tell me it's bullshit if you can say there's no project. Because I've been contacted, I get called 3 or 4 times a week from a couple of these different companies. So there's a project in place. Maybe it's not presented to you, but that does not mean there's not a project. you guys realize, okay, so a little background. I do construction work and have for the past 10 years for a multi-million-dollar construction company. And we do anywhere from government work with cities, we do it with KDOT, and we do a lot of commercial, some residential. Our infrastructure can't handle them developing 8,000 acres of ground. Our roads can't. Our towns can't. None of it. And you have residents here saying they don't want this. You don't have any here saying they want it. You don't have any signatures saying they want it.
We have our comprehensive plan that we did. And it was
It was so vague. It never said anything about solar farm, ever. It said solar. It never said anything about industrial, commercial, farms, nothing on the comprehensive plan survey. Never. And honestly, what was the percentage on favorable, not favorable, and 40%? Correct me if I'm wrong, it was wanted more information.
And the whole comprehensive plan, the way I understand it, is people in this community want it to continue to be rural. That's why people drive to Kansas City to work and come back to their rural homes. We don't want paved roads everywhere. We like country roads. We like the country atmosphere that Linn County provides.
Well, last Monday after the commission meeting, and I'll just read the letter that I would email. It was, good afternoon, Commissioner Johnson. My name is Barry Matchett, and I'm the head of external affairs for a company called Clearway Energy. We are one of the companies who would like to build a solar project in Linn County. We are very early in the development process, and as we get started, I would like very much to have the opportunity to meet with you to brief you on where we are with our plans, and more importantly, to hear from you what's important as we move forward. I don't know what your schedule is, but your preferred method of meeting, in person, phone, Zoom, but I'm very flexible and will accommodate as best I can any time that works for you. I believe I will be in Linn County on Friday and again next Wednesday and Thursday. Any chance you have a free half hour in the next couple of weeks? So, I mean, he's here.
They're here.
And I invited him to come to the meeting. He's like, why not come to the meeting? Why not come talk to all three of us? Right. I don't think he needs to single me out to talk to
He
me.
sent it to me too.
Huh?
He sent me one too. I didn't reply back to him.
I didn't either. I did reply to him. I welcomed him to the meeting. And that's all I said to him.
He told you, Danny, that he had a project.
He can have, so does the Yoblo guy that talked to your neighbor and got her to sign a contract too, that doesn't matter to nothing. I mean, nothing's been approved, nothing's been brought to us at all.
But we're worried it'll be too late at that point.
I know they're there. They're there. I didn't say they're not there. There's not a project in this county that is happening.
Do you want to go look at their test facility? Because that means a project is coming. Does that make sense?
There's nothing we can do about that.
We also
There's
had a
nothing we can do
wind
about
test
that.
facility and no projects coming.
Yeah, because you guys banned it, right?
Right. But that's
Right.
because that's what the planning and zoning board recommended.
Though, to get the wind test facility, and I don't know why I don't require a cup to get the solar test facility.
Like what Jim said.
Because every single resident in Linn County needs to get a cup to get solar panels on their house at their property.
No, I'm saying, in order to commercial wind, the wind.
The test site's not commercial. It's not big enough to be commercial.
It's a test for a commercial site.
There's nothing I can do about that. That's their legal right.
How about
I just, on top of what he's saying, if you guys, if planning and zoning had taken the industry standards of 1.2 miles from residential homes, this would not be possible. Because they're not in Prescott, they're not in Blue Mound, and they're not in Centerville. They're up where we live, all of us. And we're telling you we don't want them there because they're going to butt up to our homes because of what you rolled back in the regulations. Whether it's 200 feet or 500 feet, you gave the solar panel companies that rollback, not us. It didn't protect us and our homes and our families and our grandkids.
But we can still have the same findings to deny the cup.
But why would you not take in, my point being is if you take 152 to 52, you take west of the highway, east of the highway to state line,
and you put in that 1.2 mile from residential homes for people that don't want them next to their homes, this project doesn't go anywhere, period. And I think that was done by design. Because if, according to some of the talking points of the commissioner, is 10 years from now, the power plant's going to shut down. They pay 60% of the revenue in the county. If they shut down, our property taxes are going to increase. Well, what happens if you bring these solar panels into our community and that power plant, which they want to tie into their grid, is shut down? What happens to the solar panels then?
It's still tied into the grid.
Huh?
It's still tied into the grid.
Okay, so if the power plant shuts down and they're tied into their grids, it's okay. The solar panels will continue to operate with no problem.
That's my understanding.
Okay. So experts have told you this. Because that's my concern.
So, okay, the grid is going to have to continue to operate, is it not?
Yeah.
Right? With or without the power plant?
How is that proposed to do that if the power plant shuts down in 10 years? That's my point.
Where are we going to get the power from?
To do this,
To do, I guess I'm,
the whole key is that they are wanting to put it up by the power plant.
so they can hook into
Their
existing
grid.
infrastructure.
Exactly. So my question is, by doing that, putting this massive solar
So
farm.
Evergy still has to serve the customers, right? Whether that's Heartland Rural Electric or whatever. I mean, we don't use less power, right?
Correct. Will we be using more,
Right, we always use more.
especially with the solar farms? Because the solar farms have to be run by electricity.
It's going to the grid, the lines are different than what comes to our house. So are those gonna shut down? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes. That's just, I mean, that's one of the talking points.
Evergy still has to have those lines to send power to wherever they're sending power to, right?
That goes to the grid, and if it's owned by Evergy, I mean, I don't know, I have research honestly, but I think what
Yeah.
you're saying is Evergy owns those lines that are pushing the electricity from the power plant to the Southwest Power grid. And so they're going in different directions. When you get energy for electricity back to your house, it's coming in from a different line. It's coming from Arkansas back to you. You push the energy through the lines to the Southwest Power Pool, and then you get electricity from your home a different direction. And so she's saying if the power plant closes, Evergy owns those lines to the grid. What happens to those lines if they shut down? I'm assuming if the subsidies are still available, it would just roll back over to.
Would you,
solar, but those are things you could ask.
can we,
Does that make sense?
can we
A little
request?
bit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to be taking away those lines because there's still going to be people that,
Financial obligation, you're saying Evergy should, well, not if Evergy shuts down their
But-
plant.
but they're still providing services to customers, is what I'm saying.
Be able to-
They're still providing services to customers, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're
So they're going to have to get power somewhere, right? That's what I'm saying.
The details that we plan out in the cut.
eliminated from the power plant if they shut down. So why would they maintain a power line going to the Southwest Power Pool grid based on its EDF or Clearway only putting energy into those lines to get it to Arkansas?
Because they're probably going to charge them a fee.
And that's exactly, I'm saying those are just.
Would you guys be willing to send it back to planning and zoning and review the setbacks and do some research on what the national standard is from residential homes? Would you be willing to do that? Because in my opinion, if you do that and they agree, this stops. And I don't think you're willing to let this stop.
Well, aren't we, this is what the meeting's about. We're trying to discuss, right, Gary? I mean, this is what,
Yeah, but if we send back to planning and zoning, then we avoid all the high attorney costs you're paying for this Trish.
Yeah, but 900 and some, 30 some dollars an hour or whatever.
I don't know how many attorneys you need. You've got a county attorney, you got commissioner's attorney, you had Mr. Kopp, and now you have Trish. I would have thought that before passing all of the regulations that this would have been worked out.
There needs to be more research on the habitat and wildlife as well as the borders on 52 and 69.
and the scenic byway. There's so many issues that haven't been addressed, and you keep saying that you'll address them with the conditional use permit. We feel by that time, it's too late, and you can say no, but the process has already been started. And that's what we're trying to avoid. We want you to listen to us before the process.
We have a financial obligation too, because of you guys, we have attorney fees, we have lots of things going on right now. So whenever the conditional use permit comes, we have to fight against you guys and tell you why we don't want it here.
For how many
You're not
conditional use
listening right now, but I mean, I don't know, you know, at the end of the day, we're still gonna have to get our attorneys involved, we're gonna, if you do pass it, we do an injunction,
So-
that's gonna cost money, and you guys have hired, like, it's no big deal with our taxpayer money, attorney after attorney to take care of this, because Gary can't take care of it. I mean, how many more attorneys are gonna hire, and we're out here, we are saying we don't want it, I mean, no
So-
one is in here saying.
Okay,
we
so
want it.
so you don't want it, so we need to bring in professionals for everybody that doesn't want it. Then we need to bring in professionals that do want it,
everybody who
and then
does
we
want
pay
it.
we pay for that with your guys' tax dollars instead of using the CUP and having that company that wants to present it in here
Well,
for a specific area. No, listen, to a specific area that we all discuss and say, hey, these are the requirements we're going to require in this cup. And I don't. This is what I'm saying, Ally. This is the process, correct, Gary?
I'm trying, I can't hear because everybody's talking over everybody else and I'm about half.
But I
You
don't
need to
have
talk
control.
slowly, guys.
What I'm saying
It's ridiculous.
is, Gary said that he could bill, Gary said that he could bill Trish Goff when the conditional use permit comes in. He said that.
Could
So
you
just
what?
leave it.
Wait a minute, say that again. I didn't understand what you said I said.
So you said that it's your understanding that when the conditional use, like you guys hired Trish Goff.
That the expense of hiring her could be passed on to the company.
So what I'm saying-
That's our understanding.
Okay, so if you are saying you're hiring all these professionals, people like to come and talk at the public meeting, I'm just saying, why can't you bill that to the conditional use permit, like you're billing Trish Bob?
Can.
Because we don't have one.
So then it would be zero expense, is my point.
Because we don't have one. A conditional use permit.
I know that, but he's saying, even with Trish, once it comes in, he will bill that to Trish, right?
It'll be billed to the CUP, yes.
Or, I mean, to the conditional use permit. Okay, well, your argument just then was you were gonna get all of this money from the meeting, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Because you can.
We
bill-
cannot until we get
Until
the
there's a
CUP.
conditional use
I
permit.
know.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to, right, and
Let me address one other issue that's been, I think, overlooked here. You keep talking about the setbacks. In each case, what it says is, for example, a 500-foot minimum setback. That means,
But
yes,
that is for utility, it's for utility, over 140 acres. And if you look at the original Article 14, it's been changed based on Mr. Kopp's recommendations talking to the solar companies. So those have been rolled back.
but my point is, it says, in each case, it says a minimum setback.
Yeah, which we don't agree with the minimum. We don't. agree
Yes,
with-
that,
500 feet.
I don't like it.
okay,
That's where
you
come in the
understand,
public hearing.
if it says minimum, that means in the conditions that they put, they can make it as high as they want to.
Who's they? Who's they?
They just can't make it,
Okay, but Dan.
Who is they?
He wants strict restrictions, right? And that's why he wanted Article 14 to be so strict. Well, it's not strict, and that's what we're trying to tell you.
Because we can't do every single piece of land parcel in Linn County and put it in the restrictions. We have to, that's why the CUP has to identify that property per that property.
But what we're saying is we don't agree with the setbacks that you've set. Yes, and you, by state law, according to Mr. Kopp, on your July 5th meeting, said that you can send these back at any time, as many times as you want. They don't even have to agree with what you say. They can send it back and you can still override it as the commission. He stated that in the minutes on July 5th. So this can be done at any time if you chose to do it. But for whatever reason, you just are not willing to do it. Jim is, but nobody else is. And You can say that we're obstinate, but we feel that you guys are, and we don't understand why there is no movement and you're not even willing to bend a little bit. The only concession you made at this point in time is putting us on the agenda today and allowing, I just lost my train of thought. And the public meeting. That's the only thing, the concessions, and there's still little wiggle room when it comes to the public hearing. So you tell us to show up, we public speak. We're shut down, we're limited. Nobody wants to hear from us. We're a pain in your butt, basically, when we come in here and speak. And we are well aware of it based on the attitudes that we've gotten over the weeks that we have been here. And
the sheriff being called on, that was really over the top.
I just don't want the meeting to go like things. To me, that is just.
But I don't want the meeting to be just coming in here and rant and.
Been to a planning zone in probably 15 years, and you decided to show up and read a letter to me. Gave me 10 minutes on the floor, and he invited 2 companies, limiting it 20 minutes.
This is the problem. I think we have a special meeting like this. This is what it's going to turn into. Like, we did this and we did that, and you haven't done this and you haven't done that. That's what we're never going to get anywhere doing this crap.
Dan, you're the person that didn't allow us on the agenda for how many weeks?
That had nothing to do with it. No.
Yeah, it does.
You and I, that had nothing to do with the solar, actually.
Yes.
What
was it?
It had to do with the Historic Society. When you came in here and blew up on us after
My
that.
email was about the solar. Check the email.
I didn't get the email. I heard about it and I'm like, I don't want to hear from her again if she's gonna attack us like that. You think that I volunteered to be a commissioner, come here and get yelled at by you every single week?
Every week?
Yeah.
I can't make
Yeah.
more time.
Okay, then you come back next week and ask for something.
Anything but for you to revise the solar. That is it.
So how big of a solar or manual do we need? I mean this big so every single land parcel?
Email I texted it to you, but I didn't respond.
That's because I worked all night so I could be a commissioner today for you.
For me.
thank you.
Thank you so much. You're doing a terrible job.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can too.
So, okay,
It's not moral.
so we're not going to go on record and do a vote for a moratorium. Is that correct?
This is ridiculous.
This needs to be professional.
Yeah, you're right. It does 100%.
Well, you know what? We're your constituents and we're not ridiculous. And you guys.
She's being. Her comments are ridiculous.
That's part of the job. You're
No.
supposed to stay under control and listen to the.
I do. But I don't have to say I'm a person just like you before I'm a commissioner. I'm not going to sit here and take her shit talking like that to me. No, I'm not doing it.
Whoa, it's not, whoa, I don't believe that it is shit. I think that we
Well,
have.
her comments were you didn't even hear her, so it's irrelevant.
Whoa, we spend
She was
hours
talking about me personally,
for.
and I'm done with this. I am leaving today. I am done
No vote on a moratorium.
because I don't want to disrespect everybody in here. So I will be leaving.
So we can't,
We'll be
Everyone here are concerned. Listen to everybody else's concerns too, but this is happening around our houses.
not
And you're not
yours.
worried about it because it's not at your house, right? I mean, Jason, would you want it all the way around your house? Your kids
I
can't
don't.
go out there and run.
I don't own the property across from my house. And I live right on the edge.
You want it. I didn't say you own it. What you want?
I don't have a problem with it coming in. I don't have a problem with it coming in across from my house, Mark.
personally attacked by her.
I don't.
And I don't. I'm
Because I
I'm
don't
removing
own their
myself from
land.
the situation. It's a really good idea. I promise. Okay?
Or,
So you can
that's a huge area of, really cool old stuff.
Yes,
That's gonna get, and I'm sorry, all fucked up. That's the only way I know how to say it.
it,
You
it,
can't let this stuff happen. And what we're trying to do is tell you guys, we're all concerned. And there's a big group in the community. And it's, what can we do? to
And what-
help is we're asking.
what-
We don't want it to get into the permit use or any of that. We want to stop it before that. We want to be ahead of the ball before the ball starts to roll.
And what I'm,
Well, I'm almost there. We're fighting billion-dollar companies, right? Right here. Billion-dollar companies. We're not billionaires.
right.
And we don't want their fake money. So how do we need your guys' help. You guys.
That's why-
work for us. We work together, however you want to say it. We're
So-
trying to be on your guys' side, but we need you guys to be on our side.
Okay. Hang on. Can I,
Yeah, go ahead.
please? Just,
Yeah.
all right. So we put a moratorium on this. Are you guys against Heartland Rural Electric putting in 7 acres of solar panels over here? Heartland Rural Electric, they service my house.
Is it commercial? Because
It's commercial because it's going out to the people. So they're servicing public with it. So it is commercial. But if we put a moratorium on it, they can't come in, right?
that's what we did to the wind, right?
Right. But this is Heartland Rural Electric who services our homes.
Is it
They
their-
have the one in Devon. It's on their property,
Okay.
but it's different.
So can I ask
Okay,
a question? Why
so-
did we ban the wind? Why?
Because that was what the Planning and Zoning Committee had their findings for. That's what people spoke out against at the public hearing. We had one person do what?
That's what we're looking.
That's what we want to do.
Okay, but we had that meeting through the process.
We didn't know about it though.
It's a vague
that fair?
article in the bottom of the Linn County newspaper, not saying, hey, come to Lacey.
But how did they know about the wind?
After they,
How did you know about the wind? Dave, how did you know about the wind? Yes.
Paper, I attended the meetings. I did send some emails, got it, put it on my Facebook page. So, you know,
But solar had more had the coverage than wind had.
apparently, a big group of people. Me. That's all I'm saying.
And what I'm saying is we have to have the same findings in place to stop a conditional use permit that we have to have. So we can't.
Does that not make sense?
I do understand what you're saying, but
I don't want
I'm what,
ball. I don't want the ball to be dropped.
okay.
Plain and simple.
and it was shut
And I'm
down.
saying, so we're going to shut down Heartland Rural Electric from doing their project. Because that's what you're asking, right?
So, I
To
mean,
each your own.
does that mean that electricity won't get to people if the 7 acres is shut down?
They're saying that it allows them to have a cost benefit to their customers.
They have another site at Devon.
That's correct.
And when I drove over there, there was not one house that was closer than almost a mile and a half to 2 miles away. They did it right.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to put it around everybody's homes where they live. They're doing it right.
But that's what I'm saying. So we're going to limit them by putting a moratorium on.
Well, you're not willing.
It's trying to go in where the wildlife is and where we live.
And that's what I'm saying is we can fight that one through the CUP process.
So you're on record saying you are willing to fight for our homes and the
Yes.
wildlife.
Yes.
And that you are going
Through
to,
the CUP process.
because then you will go back and change the regulations? You would have to. You would have to.
Why would we have to?
Because it's different. Because
Begging, holding on for a straw, like, oh, hopefully you're gonna borrow.
And answer me this, Jason, if, you're gonna fight the CUPs, isn't it gonna be that much more work for all of you? Because you're gonna have to fight every conditional use permit that comes in?
We might not have to fight them. Maybe there's places where they can go where people aren't going to fight them. Just like you said, are you going to come fight against the one for Heartland Rural Electric? That's what I'm asking. Are you going to come fight against that one? Or are you just fighting against the one next to your house?
I'm fighting against all of them.
We don't want them in the county.
Yeah,
I'm not
period.
putting this around my house. Yeah, I definitely don't want them at my house. I don't want them in the whole county. It's a beautiful county. And then you go put 8,000 acres of junk up, right?
down the scenic byway that you can't even put a billboard up, but it's going to be a massive, beautiful eyesore of solar panels all the way down 69 Highway.
And I personally know because we have 2 billboard signs that were taken down because of the beautification.
Mr. Chairman, I don't hate to interrupt, but we do have another bunch on the agenda for today. If we're not going to get to them, we need to let them know that.
What else do we have?
The air.
Richard, would you come up there for a minute? Let me talk to you. Could you step up there? You feel that I'm out of line? If we could send this back to you guys and
Jim, I'm not going to speak for the whole committee.
I know that. I'm asking you what you think. if we did send it back and let you guys review it,
We certainly would. If that's the direction you give us, that's certainly what we do.
and you guys review it as a board, and then you come back and tell us if you're good with with the information, the extra information.
If that's what the board desires, that's what we'll do.
How do you feel about that?
So how's that different than what they already did, Jim?
Tells me that they're 100% sure of what they did was fine.
And then you can look back at the Article 14, the wildlife.
They can look at the Article 14, but we'll send it back and just let them look at the Article 14 and see if they're good with what they've sent us.
Now, and the result of that would be they could come back and either say we're good with it or we're not. That wouldn't change anything, but that would tell you they're not happy with it. Then you'd have to go through the amendment process to make any.
And they would still have to have findings.
Still have to have, yeah, they still have to go through the whole amendment process, but that can be done.
I'm just
You're just wanting to test the water with it.
Just send it back to them and let them look at it and tell us if they come back, they're good with it.
Gary, I don't want to interrupt you, but Mr. Cobb, when he was there, said that at any time, they can send it back. They don't have to agree. They can come back there and they say, we don't agree with this, or we agree with this. It doesn't matter what they say. They can make their own decision and vote on it unanimous.
I believe what he was talking about there is the part of, excuse me,
State statute.
is the part of the process that deals with approving the regulations that have gone through. Yeah.
You need to go back and you need to watch the video. I've done it several times and I wrote it down verbatim. He started out with state statute.
That's where we get our process, is from the
Yeah.
state statute.
So if you would just go back and watch the video and listen to his words, because you paid him a lot of money when he stood up and that's what he started with.
I'll think on it. I'll think on it.
What have we got to lose? I mean, we're just sending it back to the 9 people. I mean,
We're making a decision today.
Danny's not here. He chose
Well, that's
to
on
leave.
you.
Yeah.
and he chose to leave. We didn't ask him to leave.
What would be the problem, Jason, to have it sent back to the committee? This is a pretty large
It is.
situation. I mean, I don't understand.
It is, and I didn't take it lightly the first time.
I'm not saying you did. I'm just asking you, why would you not be for it going back to the committee?
So what did the committee do the first time? What was the process?
We had meetings open to the public. We did all the notifications, all that kind of stuff. And we listened to all the public comment and we made our decision and turned it over to you folks, to the board.
But there wasn't a lot of public comment, and that's what we're saying. We would like to have a lot more public comment. We would all like to be involved. We would like to bring some experts in. The letter that they did not receive from the Kansas Wildlife and Parks needs to be presented to them as well. And any other.
What does that letter say?
Comfortable at this point with certain parameters not being met for them.
Have you not read it? Do you have
Yes, I have read it. I'm just saying that it says they're not comfortable. You know, that's another thing, you know, within our process that we can make where they are or not. They can kill it there as well. There's plenty of ways for this to be shot down, is what I'm trying to say.
But the problem is, we don't feel like we have faith in you guys to have our backs on this because of the non-transparency of right now.
And our reactions for being on
That's
the
just how we
agenda.
feel.
Yeah. This, if you send it back to planning and zoning, we would be good with that.
At this point, if they send it back to planning and zoning, which I'm not opposed to, it would just be for their review to come back and say, we're satisfied with it, or we think there should be changes. It would not make any changes at that point. You need to understand.
Right, they would start showing at the planning and zoning meetings.
Was you allowed to speak at planning and zoning?
That's,
Per your letter, you said you could not.
I said, if you're on the agenda, typically, they put people on the agenda for 10 minutes.
No, your letter stated that if it had anything to do with solar, you were not, we weren't
Oh,
having a discussion on
I said if there's nothing before if the topic is not before the Planning and Zoning Commission, they would not venture into it. That's true.
And that's all this will be about.
That's all this would be about.
It's gonna be with solar.
Okay.
Would you allow us to go to a planning and zoning meeting? Well, you're the one that wrote the letters, right?
They have, I gave them advice about how to handle their meeting. But if they want to have an open public forum, that's what been talking about trying to do here, is have a forum for the public. But if you want, if these commissioners decide to send it back to the Planning and Zoning Board, and the Planning and Zoning Board decides to have a public forum to discuss it, then they can do that. See, I just draw a distinction between their regular meeting and a public forum. Those are different things.
Okay.
Would you be interested if it was sent back to you to have an open?
I would say that
Again,
your committee would have to make that.
I was going to say, again, I can't speak for the whole committee. So.
All right. Hey, I'll be in favor of sending it back for review by the public, the planning and
I'll tell you
zoning.
what, I'll make the motion. I'll make the motion that we send it back to the planning and zoning with an open forum meeting to where they can hear the concerns of the people in Linn County. And that's just as far as,
I just want to clarify for a motion. You said send it back.
send the solar regulation,
Okay.
Article 14.
I just wanted to make that clear.
Article 14.
And let's just be absolutely clear that whatever the Planning and Zoning Board says, they come back and either say, we're okay with it the way it is, or we would like to see some changes. Either way, that doesn't make the changes. It would have to go through the
And then
process.
we have to go back and again.
Okay.
The three commissioners ultimately still make the decision.
Ultimately, but any amendments have to go through the whole process.
That's my motion.
And it's for their review.
A review.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your chairman.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So we're holding off on all the rest of the stuff?
Well, I guess so. I'm not sure. Do you want to go ahead and have a public forum on the process or wait until this has happened?
Huh? No, hang on.
I meant the
other
solar stuff we were talking about.
I think we're covered.
I would like to hear what the planning and zoning has to say.
Before we do anything else?
Before we spend any more money,
Okay.
as far as hiring an attorney to come and being involved in it, I'd
Okay.
like to hear what the
Okay.
planning and zoning
That
has.
sounds good.
I agree.
That's the direction we'll go.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. Airport?
Is this airport discussion going to be work without Danny?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We didn't ask him.
I know you didn't. I'm just saying he's the one that had some issues.
I've also lost a couple of committee members, since we're an hour late. I don't know if you want to hold off, see if they can come back next week. If you want to discuss with the committee members that I have here.
It would be better, personally, I think it'd be better if all three of us commissioners were sitting here. I mean, it wasn't.
I would agree with that.
But I think it'd be better than everybody that we can get to be here. And I apologize for what's happened. I mean, as far as how long the meeting's taken, but that's just part of it.
Are you okay with that? Postponing to maybe next week or the week after, possibly the week after? Okay, I will get with David and get another time. Are you okay with that? Okay, and I'll send out another time to have this discussion. I apologize. Thank you
Sorry.
for being here.
Sorry. Thank you for showing up.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you, commissioners.
Thanks. Do we have anything else?
I don't think I do.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. You're welcome. Hey, Sherry.